All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to look at a vegetable that is, in all likelihood, sitting in the crisper drawer of your fridge right now. It has a surprisingly powerful, historically rich background, but we kind of just take it for granted. I'm talking about the humble beetroot. Today, we're exploring how this everyday plant has done literally everything from sweetening global empires to fueling Olympic athletes. You know what's really fascinating here? How totally backwards our historical relationship with this crop is. For most of human history, the beetroot itself, the actual root, was basically just thrown away. Ancient Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, they grew beets primarily for their leafy tops. They treated them a lot like we treat Swiss chard today. Which makes perfect sense, actually, because Swiss chard is the exact same species, just bred specifically for the leaves. It wasn't until the Middle Ages that Europeans really started cooking that swollen, dirty purple root we know so well today. So here's the core mystery we are unraveling in this explainer. What could possibly connect a momentary panic in your bathroom toilet to heavy civil engineering on a frozen Canadian highway? I mean, it sounds like an impossible riddle, right? But the answer to both is the incredibly potent, intense chemistry locked inside the beetroot. Let's unpack exactly how that works, starting at the micro level. Section 1, the pink pea mystery. Okay, this brings us to the most common, and let's be totally honest here, slightly alarming encounter people have with beets. You've probably heard that eating them can turn your urine and sometimes your stool pink or red. Scientifically, this is called beeturia. But look at this data. The wild part is that this phenomenon does not happen to everyone, not even close. Studies actually suggest it only happens to a really small fraction of the population, right around 10 to 14%. So it's not just about how many beets you piled onto your plate at the salad bar. If you're wondering why beets turn urine pink for that specific 14%, it boils down to a very specific biological triad. Number 1, your genetics. Number 2, your body's current iron levels. And number 3, your gut acidity. If you have the exact right, or I guess wrong, combination of these 3 things, you're the one getting that red alarm in the bathroom. Let's talk about the chemical culprit behind all this color. It's a pigment called betaline. Now, a lot of people just assume it's the exact same stuff that makes blueberries or red cabbage purple, which are anthocyanins, but nope, it's a totally different class of compound. Betalains are so potent and honestly so unique that beech and their close relatives are pretty much the only major food source for them on the entire planet. Well, aside from a few exceptions like dragon fruit and certain cacti. And because this betalain pigment is just so unbelievably vivid and chemically stable, it has massive commercial applications. It's extracted and used all over the place as a natural red food dye. On ingredient lists, it's officially labeled as E162. Manufacturers absolutely love this stuff for replacing synthetic chemical dyes in everyday items. So honestly, if you're eating pink strawberry yogurt or even slightly red-tinted sausages, there is a very good chance you are actually eating beetroot extract. Section 2, fueling empires and athletes. All right, so we've solved the bathroom mysteries. Let's scale things up a bit and look at how this intense chemistry actually altered human history and pushed the boundaries of modern sports. It's quite a timeline. In the early 1800s, Britain controlled the seas, right? They completely blocked France from importing cane sugar from the Caribbean, which made sugar prices absolutely skyrocket. Napoleon Bonaparte needed a fix immediately. Jump ahead to the 1940s during World War II, and rations are incredibly tight across Europe. Beets became a huge dig for victory staple because they were so calorie-dense and easy to grow. People were literally roasting them as a caffeine-free coffee substitute or using beet syrup instead of chocolate. And fast forward to today, they are a cornerstone of elite, doping-free athletic performance. Going back to Napoleon for just a second, the lasting impact of his wartime improvisation is staggering. To beat that British blockade, he dumped funding into researching sugar beets, which were specifically bred for high sugar content, and ordered thousands of acres to be planted all across France. Thanks entirely to that one panicked political decision, roughly 20% of the world's sugar today still comes from beets instead of sugarcane. And chemically speaking, the sucrose it yields, absolutely identical. It's fascinating, too, how this historical track record bridges ancient mythology straight to modern sports science. The ancient Romans genuinely believed the beetroot was a powerful aphrodisiac. They even linked it to Aphrodite, the goddess of love, associating it with vitality and increased blood flow. Well, it turns out they were totally onto something, and those ancient beliefs have been completely validated by modern lab testing. This brings us to exactly why you will see elite Olympic cyclists and marathon runners knocking back literal shots of beet juice right before a big race.
Beetroot juice is actually one of the most heavily studied, fully legal performance-enhancing drinks in all of sports science. So here's the athlete's secret. Beets are unusually rich in dietary nitrates. When you drink them, your body converts those nitrates into nitric oxide. That nitric oxide then relaxes and widens your blood vessels, which radically improves how efficiently your muscles use oxygen. Essentially, it lets your muscles work a whole lot harder while using less oxygen, which seriously delays fatigue.
Section 3. Defrosting icy winter roads.
Okay, get ready for the biggest wait what pivot of this entire explainer. We are taking that exact same dense chemical potency that we just talked about for athletes, and we're applying it to heavy civil engineering. Cold climate cities, especially several up in Canada, have started experimenting with a really unusual solution to keep icy tarmac safe. They are literally juicing beets to clear municipal roads. When you compare standard salt brine to beet juice brine side by side, this agricultural byproduct actually wins out for a few very specific chemical reasons. So let's break down the mechanics of beetroot's incredible role as a road deicer. Step 1, adding beet juice directly lowers the freezing point of standard salt brine. That means it keeps working at much colder temperatures. Step 2, beet juice is naturally sticky and sugary, so it makes the brine adhere to the road's surface way better than plain salt water, which usually just washes away after a few cars drive over it. And step 3, because it works better and sticks around longer, cities can significantly reduce the overall volume of salt they need to dump on the roads. That obviously saves municipalities a ton of money, but it also protects the local environment from massive, toxic salt runoff. Section 4, the ultimate super route. Before we wrap this up, we really have to appreciate the sheer zero-waste versatility of the entire Beta vulgaris plant. I mean, this is a masterclass in agricultural efficiency. Practically nothing gets thrown away. Just look beyond the root for a second. Those leafy greens that most people just toss in the compost bin, they're actually way more nutrient-dense than the root itself. We're talking packed with vitamin K, vitamin A, and iron. Then, on the industrial side, when you process sugar beets, it produces ethanol, which makes it a totally viable biofuel crop over in parts of Europe. And the leftover fiber after they extract all that sugar? That's called beet pulp, and it is 100% repurposed as livestock feed. Root, leaf, juice, pulp. Every single piece of this plant has a job. And honestly, the sheer diversity of this plant is just wild. Sure, you have the classic Detroit dark red that everyone knows, but you've also got the sweet golden beet. There's the gorgeous Chioggia beet. People call it the candy cane beet because when you slice into it, it has these stunning bright pink and white spiral rings. And then you have the freak beets. Competitive growers have pushed beet genetics to the absolute extreme, showing up to county fairs with giant specimens weighing in the tens of pounds. They completely dwarf anything you would ever see in the produce aisle. So, to summarize the crazy macro to micro journey we just took today, this root sweetened a French empire, it stepped in for coffee during World War scarcities, it continues to fuel Olympic athletes pushing for new world records, it literally keeps Canadian roads safe in the dead of winter, and yeah, it just might turn your toilet pink tonight. I think we can all agree this plant is far more than just a colorful little salad garnish. I'm gonna leave you with this thought, and hopefully you never look at a humble beetroot the same way again. Next time you see one, which of its incredible secret lives are you gonna remember first? The empire, the athlete, or the snowplow? Well, if this explainer blew your mind even a little bit, make sure you tune in next time. I'll be covering a vegetable that is technically illegal to grow in parts of the US without a specific permit. You are not going to believe which one it is. Until then, keep learning.